Welcome back to our special preview of the Longines Turf World Championship Sha-Tin on Sunday. 4 Group 1s. We're up to the sprint. If you want to have a look at the rest of the card, though, Racing to Win will be on the website, hkjc.com, from Saturday night at about 6 p.m. Outstanding undercard. Myself, Brett Davis and Paul Lally will look at all 10 races on the programme. But we're up to the sprint here. $20 million on the table, including last year's winner as well in Mr. Stunning. But the field headed this year by iVictory. Christophe Lemaire will ride for John Size. Mr. Stunning now with Frankie Law. Karis Teeton from barrier 9. DB Pin, another one of the size runners from 2. Beat the Clock. Ryan Moore ride from the 8. Hot King Prawn. Joe Moreira's back in town, but he's come up with barrier 11. Fine Needle from Japan in 2. Sir Dancelot for David Ellsworth from barrier 5. Winner's Way. Pingu Spark. Limbs Cruiser from Singapore, barrier 3. Born in China. And Little Giants. It's got it all to do on the ratings, but so we don't quite know how good he is yet. Zach Purnell ride from barrier 7. So, the sprints. Hot King Prawn probably the place to start. He's improved, not out of all recognition, because he knew he was pretty good, but he just seemed to raise the bar each time.
Indeed, he's won 9 of his 10. I'm particularly taken with this horse. I think 2 runs back he did have to do a little bit of work early in the race and was still able to sustain the gallop. And last start, again, I love the kick turning for home, where he put a little margin on them, and yes, Mr. Stunning had marginal interference, and he does have the weight advantage, of course, but he's a winning horse, Hot King Prawn. And when we had a Jockey Club press conference this morning with John Size, and I thought he would look at me with some level of derision if I said, if this horse is still continuing to go on an upward spiral. So I couched it slightly differently, and I got the impression he thinks he is. So I'm enamoured with this horse.
Barrier 11 makes it a little bit more difficult for him, does it?
That's an important factor. I think there's another one. I think his rivals have to give this Prawn a more intense grilling early on than they did last time. He got some pretty softish fractions last time. No wonder he showed a big kick. I agree with Steve. He has a middle sectional, which is impressive. But he's going to have to burn some fuel to get across from 11. John Size says he can adapt if he doesn't lead. But that's a new question as well. And it's all price. He's going to be a very hot favourite with Joe Moreira aboard. First full-time day back in Hong Kong. Record reflects, first time. Mr. Stunning gave him £11, wasn't far behind. Last time, gave him £5, ran him really close. This time, it's dead levels, and horses in the Longines Hong Kong sprint who've won it before and come back have a terrific record.
Let's just quickly on the other John Size runners as well. iVictory, don't know what he's going to do really. DB Pen and Beat the Clock was terrific first up.
Yes, I'm starting to think that really if you nailed me to the wall, I have to have a bet in this race. I'm almost thinking now, Beat the Clock each way might be the play for some, because you know he's probably going to land 6th, 7th, gate 8, Ryan Moore. He'll find the cover. We don't know how it's really going to play out up front. He'll run terrifically well, Beat the Clock. DB Pin, it would be hard to put your money on him. 1 run back from serious injury-related break from racing. That's a concern. iVictory, I got the impression from John Size that some give in the ground could see him improve, but he would need that, I think.
Japan and Singapore, Fine Needle and Limbs Cruiser. Fine Needle, 2-time Grade 1 winner now.
Yeah, he's the best in Japan, but he's had 1 dart here, and he was 4 and a bit lengths behind iVictory and company in a Group 1 race. So he may well have improved, but he needs to have made sizable improvement, I think, to beat those horses. I think he'll run well. Don't think he'll be good enough. Limbs Cruiser, I am somewhat in the dark about. He is banging form, and it's a really enterprising challenge for this race, but he's in deep on Sunday.
All right, you won the Lion City Cup 2 starts back. That's a domestic Group 1 there in Singapore. There's one other international raider in the sprints as well. That is Sir Dancelot. He's trained by David Ellsworth.
Yeah, the horse travelled well. He looks in good shape. He's pleased us. The draw, it's at this stage, you know, we're very happy with it. He's drawn 5. He's running in the second half of the race, so it's okay.
His best form looks to be over 7 furlongs back home. How do you think he'll go over 6 furlongs here?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's won his 2 Group 2s over 7. He's got good form. He was 4th in the July Cup. He wasn't beaten very far, and he won the Rockingham as a 2-year-old over 6. He's pretty sharp. Plenty of pace to suit us. He'll finish. He'll be coming home, I hope.
Great to have David Ellsworth back. A long time since he's been in Hong Kong, Graham, but it is great to have him here. Someone of his character and his versatility as well. He's been a leading light in both national hunt and flat racing in the UK.
No stranger to Hong Kong. Arguably the greatest dual-purpose trainer, flat and jumps, there's ever been in Britain. Grand National, Cheltenham Gold Cup, all sorts of major Group 1s in the groove. Leah Spear ran very well here. So this is a colourful character, almost 80 nowadays. He's got a good horse here, Sir Dance-A-Lot, but he's going to need a fair bit to go his way. If he gets a blazing gallop, he could come calling late. I spoke to David this morning, and I said, Grand National, Cheltenham Gold Cup, all these Group 1s, what would a Longines HKIR Group 1 mean to you? He said, well, it would mean plenty to the bank manager. I thought, well, if David Ellsworth is still trying to please the bank manager, what chance have the rest of us got?
Well, there's 20 million on the table, I suppose, Steve, but he actually knows the sort of horse it takes to be successful here at the very highest level in Hong Kong, doesn't he?
Yes, but I think David himself conceded it's sort of rock and hard place. Is he quite quick enough for the 1200 here? Is he quite strong enough for the mile here? 7 furlong race would obviously be ideal. I think he'll be finishing on. I doubt he could win.
All right, I think Winner's Way might be interesting from barrier 1. Maybe some each-way plies might get involved with him. What about Little Giant, Graham? Because he's promised the world, but he's going to have to deliver to win this, really, isn't he?
I'd say this is the first time a jockey like Zach Purton has deserted Hong Kong's champion sprinter to ride the lowest rated horse in the race. Now, there could be decisions for down the track. John Size might not be employing Zach Purton as often as he has done from December the 9th onwards. Little Giant's an improver, though, and he was slightly unlucky in a Class 1 last time. He got caught out wide, so he is on the upgrade. He needs to be on a sharp upward curve, but it is significant that Zach Purton has chosen him ahead of a proven Group 1 horse like iVictory.
Absolutely. Barrier 7 for Little Giants as well. So, Steve, you can lead off again the numbers on the spread.
Well, look, I'd be inclined to think that Graham will agree that this is the most straightforward race. I would be shocked if any one of the obvious top 3 in the market didn't win the race. Mr. Stunning, Beat the Clock, Hot King Prawn. I'm going to hold my faith in Hot King Prawn. Whether I reach into my wallet and maintain that faith will be determined by what price is on offer on Sunday. But I'm staying with Hot King Prawn. 5 to beat 2, Mr. Stunning. 4 Beat the Clock. Will run a cracker. And I've thrown Fine Needle in for 4th, but I think there's any number of horses, including Winner's Way, who you've just mentioned, that could get into 3rd or 4th in this race. But I'm staying with the Prawn.
All right, and do you agree, Graham, with Steve?
Not quite. It's a value play, but I think that there's an element of sorcerer and apprentice in this race. The sorcerer, John Size, and his former apprentice, Frankie Law. It could be a fantastic day for Frankie Law. Mr. Stunning won this race last year. I don't think he's lost a step in any way, and I think he'll be slightly better value than the hot favourite. And like Steve, I think Beat the Clock has potential to get right in amongst them.
Yeah, 5, 2 and 4 do seem to me, as Steve said, the most obvious numbers there in the sprint. All right, so 2 more races to go. Next up is the mile with the world's highest rated turf miler in the field as well. We'll have a special on Beauty Generation.